Welcome to the Invincible Podcast, the best podcast or something around here.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Invincible Podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends get to sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman. On today's show, we're going to be talking all about Hardcover Volume 8, that's Ultimate Collection Volume 8, issues 85 to 96. And joining me for that, as always, is Liz.
Hi, guys.
And Brittany.
Hello.
How are you doing today, Liz?
I'm doing good.
What's so funny?
Oh, no, I'm just, I'm constantly frazzled and going from here and there. So when someone asks me how I'm doing, I have to think about it. Like, am I really good? But no, I'm good.
How much longer do you have of school?
5 months.
5 months?
Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. But I'm finishing up a course Saturday, and then I'll be a week off, which is going to go by really fast.
Awesome.
That'll be my last semester, so.
Good.
Cool.
And how are you doing, Britt?
Same thing, different day.
Mm-hmm.
And the most boring person ever.
So untrue.
So before we jump into Volume 8, though, there's a couple things I wanted to bring up. First of all, remember, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, all the works. But recently, there's some fun things that were brought up on Twitter. Image Comics has their 25th anniversary, and so they're doing some really neat variant covers across all their books, including Invincible. And, go online, check them out. They're pretty neat. They're paying homage to, 90s comics, and there's some really neat ones. There's actually Curse Words. The comic Curse Words is doing a variant of Invincible's first cover. But I posted all those pictures online. Check those out. Also, issue 132 is out, or not out, but it's going to be out soon. It's coming out February 1st. And not only that, but 2 weeks after that, we're going to be getting issue 133. So, and Sean Makowitz over on Twitter, the editor-in-chief for Skybound, mentioned that he doesn't anticipate any major delays throughout the rest of the, finale for Invincible. So that's kind of exciting that here we are. We're finally getting to the point where we might not have any major delays, and new issues of Invincible are going to be coming out, month to month now, and that's really exciting. We're all really excited to sit down and talk about them. So, other than that, I think it was Nathan Fairbairn, the colorist right now on Invincible, mentioned that the next issue, 132, has got some stuff in it that, it's got some shit in it you've never seen in a comic before, I guarantee it. So that's really exciting. And
how's that even possible? I feel like this comic has gone and shown us so many things,
and there's still more that you guys don't even know. It's really cool. So I'm so excited. We're only a couple weeks away from a new issue, and you guys are so close to being caught up. You're so close to being caught up. Now
I feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it?
Yeah.
You guys just read Volume 8, and I only have 9 and 10 here. So that's it. After 9 and 10, then you're reading some of the issues to get caught up to where we are.
No, I'll just wait until the book comes out again so I can just binge read it.
Just binge read the whole thing.
That makes it a lot easier.
We'll see where we're at when we actually get to that. I don't know when volume, I guess that would be 11.
But how exciting if we could all sit down
out
together and actually do a podcast, all of us together, like TJ, Billy, you, me, Brittany.
Oh, I know.
I feel like you wouldn't, nobody would be able to get a sentence.
A word in? I know, it'd be pretty intense. I've thought about it, and if we don't do it before the finale, we're going to do it for the finale.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll have to have some big episode for the final issue of Invincible, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So this year is going to be really exciting for Invincible. We're starting off with you guys getting, pretty close to catching up, and 2 issues coming out next month, and from then on should be monthly or pretty close with the finale, the end of all things. So I guess we're going to jump right into it. So here we are. And the previous new reader, it was Volume 7, I guess kind of a previously on. It was the Viltrumite War. Mark and everybody going to the planet and then flying through the planet Viltrum, and Thrag, and Thaddeus dying, and Alan being made Grand Regent, and Thaddeus leaving the Scourge virus to Alan, and then all the stuff with Dinosaurus, and Mark kind of learning to kind of, you know, be a little bit more, I don't remember the word I used, but kind of forgiving of people and a little bit more lenient.
Just, understanding their point of view or where they're coming from. So I feel like, he was starting to see things in a new way, or at least take the time to try to solve something in a non-violent way.
Yep. So, and it ended with Mark telling Dinosaurus, you know, you ready to save the world, as Mark is, you know, kind of a fugitive to Cecil, and...
Yeah, he's enemy of the state.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's where we left off. Now, Volume 8 starts off not with Mark, but on Telescria, or on the way to Telescria.
They were going to visit him, going to visit Oliver, weren't
Yep,
they?
yep, because Nolan and Debbie left. They're like, peace, and they took off. Yeah, and left Mark and Eve to the house. So
much booty in this.
Oh yeah, especially this volume. Right from the start, we get Nolan and Debbie have made up.
Yes.
They are making up for old time. And we've got them on their way to Telescria. We've got Alan and Talia. They mentioned that Alan can't reproduce with Talia. You know, that's kind of thrown in there. I thought that was interesting. And we see Oliver again, and Oliver is good as new.
Yeah.
Last time we saw him, he was in that tank because Thrag had ripped his arm off and broken his jaw. And they've mentioned that, you know, the skin has grown over and he's, you know, pretty much fully healed. And
now he's officially peach colored. He is no longer.
Remember when he was purple?
He was purple. Yeah.
And they mentioned that he would slowly fade into.
And they really did a good job of making it.
Right? It's almost like you didn't even notice. It just kind of.
I was like, oh yeah, that's Oliver. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But looking back at other, pictures of it, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, he was purple. Not purple, but purple.
Yeah. Yep.
Remember that commercial? No.
What is that from?
I don't know. Some paint commercial where they're trying to pick the right color purple and guys are painted purple. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, this one ambassador, this lizard lady, is pissed off at Alan because, well, everybody knows now, and the word has gotten out, that the Viltrumites are on Earth. Mm-hmm. You know, Nolan has come back to tell them this, and everybody's mad about it because they're like, we know where they all are.
What are you doing about it?
What are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
And so they're kind of thinking that Alan's not.
He needs to step up. Yeah. He's the leader.
Exactly, and he's under the pressure of all these planets, not just one group of people. Yes, the entire coalition.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ryan's wearing a coalition shirt.
Nerd.
No, I'm just kidding.
And I liked Oliver going out and patrolling and learning that his left arm is weaker than the right because that's the robotic one now, and just neat. Some great action scenes with him fighting different enemies and
just him coming into his own and getting
back in action.
Exactly.
Yep, and getting reunited with his mom,
which was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
They were really excited. But I was laughing at the artwork on one of the pages where Nolan and Debbie are making up again, and there's Oliver on the couch covering his ears, and that was just like when Alan and
awesome throwback.
Yeah, we're making up, and Nolan's on the couch doing the same thing, so that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they do that.
Oh yeah, I love the throwbacks, the awesome callbacks in this comic, the whole thing.
How'd you sleep, son? Like, really?
Alan has a moment with Talia where he's like, I might have to do something very bad, but it's for a good reason. And you start to see him struggling with this.
Sounds like Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Does it not?
Oh,
and if you think, like, their storylines kind of, like, parallel. Like, he wants to do something that might not be seen as good, but he's got to do what he's got to do. Now, Alan is faced with the exact same problem. And so it's kind of like, something's coming between Mark and Alan.
Mm-hmm. I like when Nolan goes into Alan's office, and he begins to tell him, like, oh, there's something that I might have to do, and you're not going to like it. And
but you still have to love me anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and Nolan just immediately rips off the wall where the room is hidden, the Scourge virus, and just like he knows right away. He's like, "Where is it? What have you done?" You know, because he knows. And the issue ends with them saying like, "All right, well,
ding ding, you ready?
here we go. You know, I don't want to do this." And he's like, "I know. Let's go."
I know, and I was like, "Is this really happening?" Like, I thought they were just like joking and we're gonna like talk it out, but that didn't happen.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
I wanted to see him.
You wanted to see the fight?
Yeah, I just wanted to see how
Who
far
did you
it
think-
went.
Alan has gotten so much stronger. Like, if you look at him, how beefy he is now. Like,
Yep.
I'm just like,
I kind of wanted to see how far he would go.
yeah.
Especially being like head of the coalition now.
Yeah. How did you think that fight would go down before you read it?
I thought.
Did you think they would actually fight?
No, like I thought. Like I said, I thought they were just like gonna talk it down, and I really didn't put too much thought into it. But then I thought it would be pretty evenly matched, but I still always see Nolan winning.
Yeah.
So
Issue 86. Again, this was kind of like a two-parter with Cory Walker, and we'll see, especially later on in this issue, I love when they take advantage of using two different artists to show two different places. Like, this is a great use of Cory Walker, showing all the past, or not the past stuff, but what's going on Telescria, similar to how they've done in the past with Cory Walker and, like, you know, the adventures of Nolan and Alan. It's kind of like we get used to seeing how Cory draws them, and I think Cory's awesome at aliens and other worlds and different costumes and all those kind of things, which again plays into what happens later on in this volume. So we get the fight scene, and Alan kind of fucks up Nolan pretty easily, pretty quickly.
right, I was kind of like, what just happened?
And what do you think of Alan's plan? What do you think of this? Like, so you know the position that he's in. You know that, you know, all the Viltrumites are in one spot. This might be their only opportunity. This is the classic, you know, kill 1 to warn 100. You know what I mean? It's that classic kill, you know, a few to save a million kind of thing. Like,
at first I agreed with them until you hear Nolan's side and how he changed and how they can change. And I was like, yeah, all right, I get it.
But then I'm thinking too, is Alan fully aware of their plan? Like, they are there to repopulate and rebuild their ranks. Like, does he know all that? And I'm like, I'm sure Nolan told him because Torag and him had that conversation. So
Yeah.
I would think he would know all that information.
but that's almost worse.
Right,
Like, I
so
feel
that's
like,
what I'm saying. So I think that's why he ultimately decided, like, I have to use the virus because it's only gonna, like you said, set more people in danger. People can change. Yes, Threg is not going to change. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
Like, he looks at that skull and he's just gone. You know, he's an evil, evil person. So I don't think he could ever be changed. And the few that are left, I feel like are like the top ranks, like strongest. Again, really haven't spent enough time with humans to change or really be able to assess their feelings. So I think Alan has to do what he has to do.
Yeah. One thing that I thought, rereading this, I almost wish that Alan would have talked it out more or thought about it some more in a way, because for one, like, Oliver shows up and it almost immediately takes Alan's side. But he's like, yeah, obviously this is the right thing to do. Because we've known throughout the series that Oliver really doesn't have much compassion for human life. He doesn't consider himself a human. He doesn't care for humans. He's not attracted to humans. None of that. And one thing that I feel like maybe should have been done was find out whether or not this will harm humans. They don't know. They're just assuming during this that, like, oh, you released that, and because humans' DNA are so similar to Viltrumites, it probably will. But what if it doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think.
And how long would it have taken them to really figure that out? You know, I don't think a week is going to make a difference.
Yeah, and like Nolan said, like, this is what happened to the, you know, Unopan people. You know, Alan's people. Nolan called them out and was like, you would do the same thing that happened to yours. And I get the argument. It's like, yeah, well, it's going to happen to countless others if I don't. So it was a tough place, and I don't know. I think Invincible does a really good job with asking those tough questions, you know, of what's right and what's wrong when it comes to those kind of situations.
But no matter what, somebody's right and somebody's wrong. You know, it really is. It's like politics. No, I'm just kidding.
So Nolan stops himself. He starts fighting back when Oliver and Oliver punches Nolan, and Nolan grabs Oliver by the neck and stops himself, and he's like, "Nope, not again."
Yeah.
And proceeds to get fucked up, and then flies away and crashes back into his home where Debbie is, and she's
pissed.
She's pissed,
right? Because now she thinks that he's going back or reverting back to his own ways. That it's been televised or something.
Yeah, she's like, you're trying to take this planet over now?
Right. He's like, that's not what happened. Just calm down.
And he's just all bloodied up and everything like that. And he just says, we've got to get to Earth. We've got to go. And then he just passes out. And that's where it's left. Pretty cool. I liked that little sidebar of what's going on with Nolan. It really builds tension for Mark and on Earth. What's coming. It's this gloom and dread that's coming, because we know, like, Alan's on his way.
Yeah, but in the same respect, we already know something big is happening with Mark and Dinosaurus. Like, they're like, let's save the world. And the last thing that they did that happened was blow up Las Vegas. So I know they're planning to destroy things to rebuild it. So I'm thinking, maybe the virus will help destroy things to rebuild
Mark
things.
was, pretty broken with the whole Vegas thing, and he didn't agree with that tactic. He thinks that Dinosaurus's ways are a little too extreme. That he has his mind in the right place, but he's going about things the wrong way.
Yeah, needs a little
So I
guidance.
don't think Mark ever intended to do things as like blow up Vegas again, but he wants to take that genius and instead of blowing up cities, maybe do something that was a little bit more, safe and less harmful to people, but still have the same outcome. He wants to change things for the better, even if they are a little bit drastic. But a big part of that was, I think, him working with someone who's a criminal or viewed as a criminal, So, but issue 87. Now we're back to Ottley's artwork for this one. It starts off with Omnipotus. Now, I don't know if either of you remember this guy.
He looked familiar, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I kind of wish I had issue 27 to resort back to.
Yeah, so in issue 27, like way back then.
Yeah, I really don't remember what happened, really. Like
This was early on, back when the Guardians of the Globe were new, and like the previous ones had died, and this is the the robot team and Monster Girl and Rexplode and Adam Eve and everybody, Duplicate, Immortal, and Britt was there at the time, and they got messed up by this guy, and Black Samson showed up. Remember, Black Samson was in a coma, and he needed his suit, and at the time I think Monster Girl was using his suit.
Yeah.
And Black Samson showed up and like just vaporized the guy and pushed him back into his own dimension or something. And that was Black Samson kind of getting his powers back.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's it. So he kind of makes a return, and everybody is pretty much knocked out. So it looks as though he had won. A cool way to start, like, hey, back on Earth, meanwhile. And you'll notice a lot of new Guardians in this. Now, concurrently with these issues, a new series was going on, Guarding the Globe. And this introduced new Guardians, a bunch of different ones, Yeti, Chupacabra, Le Bruiser, which is just a boxer, Pegasus, Kid Thor, Japandroid.
I was wondering who the dog was.
Yeah, he's just a superhero dog, and it almost feels like a joke. Like, it's so funny though. Like, they'll just throw him. He's like indestructible, and he'll just go through things. And it's like, all right, and that's it. And they talk to him. Like, he doesn't talk back. They talk to him like a normal person. It's really funny. But we're going to be going over Guarding the Globe at during a tie-in episode sometime soon, hopefully. Speaking of, I think our Brit Volume 2 has gone up. That was our last episode. Wolfman Volume 2 tie-in episode should be up next. I finished reading Brit Volume 3, and I wasn't too hot on Brit Volume 2, but Volume 3 was awesome. I'm spoilers for that, but I thought it was really, really good. So I'm excited to sit down with Bill and talk about that one. So back to issue 87, Omnipotus showed up, and everybody's knocked out, and I kind of like this. It just shows, Invincible and Dinosaurus showing up to kind of like save the day, and Dinosaurus just bites the guy's head off.
You're done.
Thought that was really neat. And
well, and I like how they seem to have like it down. Like he flies holding Dinosaurus, drops him on the assailant. Like it seems like they've been doing this now for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. Like some time might have passed. They've kind of got their their thing together, and I like how they get up and Robot's like, all right, you're under arrest. Mark's like, look around you. We just saved the world. I don't know what you're talking about. But Mark's just like, whatever. They take off. But Mark goes to Eve, and this is the first time Mark's seen Eve
since he left.
Yeah, since he was like, hey, do you trust me? I'm going to do something crazy. Peace. And and Cecil shows up to Eve and is like, what's going on? So she's clearly a little upset, but he explained to her that, this is the right thing to do. Dinosaurus does things wrong, but what he did helped people in the end, at least. And, they kind of have that whole discussion.
And this is like how you were talking about earlier, how he knows Dinosaurus kind of like is going around it misguided. So this was the first time I could really see like his thinking and what he was planning on doing or how to make it more positive. Mm-hmm. So I liked seeing this part of the conversation.
Yeah. And I like how Cecil showed up and he was like, I only came here to talk. And Mark's like, yeah, I know you can track
Cecil
this.
can just die. He can die now. I'm done.
You just don't like him. You've never liked him.
No, I'm done with Cecil and his face.
I like how, while he's there, Alan enters orbit. So Mark takes off, flies up there. He's like, hey, what's up, guys? So Mark has no idea what they're there for. And they're like, okay, Alan and, Oliver are there. And they're like, okay, Mark, we need to talk. And so they tell him the plan. And Mark's reaction is similar to Nolan's. And he thinks that they've lost their mind. He thinks that they're crazy for even thinking that they should do this.
Really showing that human aspect again.
Mm-hmm. And Mark says if there's even the slightest chance that this can have an effect on humans, you can't do this. There's no way. The Vultimites killed... he says the same thing about how, the Vultimites killed all of Alan's people. How could you do the same to mine? So, and then who shows up to stop the fight? Because they get into this little fight about it. But Thrag.
Mm-hmm.
Because... he's kind of keeping an eye on Earth from space, and... Well,
he wants it to reproduce,
mm-hmm.
and...
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's, like, cool, because the last time we see the Viltrumites, it's like, all right, peace, we're gonna
hide out
go
for a while.
Yeah, we're never gonna see you again. You won't even know we're here.
Exactly. We're gonna lay low, and you think that, maybe they'll come back in force, or if there's a major thing, but it's like, oh, no, we're aware of everything that's going on. And that's how... 87 ends. So on to 88, there's like this standoff between Alan and Thrag, because Alan's like, well, I could shoot you with this right now, but Thrag's like, well, before it takes effect, I'm going to kill you, and you're not going to be able to infect anybody else. So either way, either I die or you die, but either way, you're not infecting the planet. So they have this like standoff where they kind of call a truce, where there's this like, neither thing will happen. Alan's not having that. And one part about this truce that Thrag has is he's saying, what makes you think I didn't put Viltrumites on another planet? You know what I mean? What makes you think that all of us are here?
Right.
And so, like, is this even going to work? So would you kill all these humans just for the chance of it?
Yeah, one or two of us.
Mm-hmm. So Alan's starting to realize that this might not be... the right way to go. I mean, they're both unhappy with it. Thrag doesn't like the fact that, Alan has the Scourge virus and he can just wipe out.
Well, if Alan was smart, he would have made more of them and not just have one.
And not just one.
He did act a little too quickly on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's what I mean. I feel like...
humans. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
really
he should have made more, really have it, just...
Yeah, and he was under a lot of pressure, and I'm sure that was played into this, like, why he's making this decision. Aww. Well, then the Guardians show up, and they have this whole communication problem because some of them can't hear what the other ones are saying.
They're thinking, some can't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually start fighting a little bit. And in the confusion, Oliver takes the Scourge virus gun and flies down to the atmosphere, and Mark sees him and flies after him. So what's going through you guys' heads at this point? Like,
well, this is like, I'm like, finally, it's the Joker to the Batman. Like, I'm like it's happening.
That was your theory.
I know. So I was kind of really nervous about what was going to happen with them. But I was like, Mark loves Oliver so much. Nothing that bad can happen. Like, Mark's changing the way he thinks, the way he approaches things. So I don't think it's going to get out of hand as, you know, say his fight with Conquest. You know, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. So, like, I knew that something bad was going to happen. And then when Oliver shot him in the face with the virus, I was kind of like, I didn't know what was going to happen. And then I remember the cover. I was like, this is why there's a different person on the cover in Invincible's costume. Remember how you showed us that?
I showed you guys that.
Yep. So I kind of was like, I don't know if he's going to die or just whatever, but this is why that I made that connection then.
Yeah.
What about you, Brett? What'd you think?
I didn't think he'd actually pull the trigger.
It looked like it was just them fighting over the gun and it blasted him in the face.
Yeah,
I don't know if Oliver intentionally blasted him because he freaks out. Oliver's like in panic mode as soon as it happens.
That little boy, he needs some guidance.
But I like Mark, like Alan catches up to them and Mark's like, I'm fine. But, you know, what's the situation here? Is it airborne? Like, do we have to be worried? Is this a thing? And Alan's like, no, I mean, we're high up enough. It was just a small burst, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but how are you? And Mark's like, I'm fine. And then the blood is pouring out of his orifices. Yeah, the last page has all this blood coming out of his eyes and his nose. And he's like...
His eyes look crazy.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool way to end that issue. I thought that was really neat. And then the cover to 89 is the cover that I showed you guys.
Yes.
Someone else in Mark's costume. What'd you think of this little flashback that it starts with?
I thought it was cool. And for one, to see art again, and just to see that, you know, that costume was an option beforehand.
Right.
Before Invincible came around.
Remember, like in that little flashback, Art is actually working on Invincible's costume, and Bulletproof goes up to the rack, like the costume rack, and pulls out the costume that Mark originally tried on with the little solar discs and stuff like that on them. And I thought that was pretty neat. So at that point, you guys knew it was Bulletproof at this point.
We talked about how it was Bulletproof. I mean, there could only be so many people. So, yes, we knew it was Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
We've got Cecil aboard the Vulturemite ship because the Vulturemites are taking care of Mark. So Thrag's there. Thrag has kind of made it clear to Cecil. He's like, you have no choice. We are here. We can kill all of you. You will honor our agreement or we'll destroy you. So we will coexist here. And well,
especially now that like Mark is in such a weakened state, like there's nothing else. Like Cecil doesn't have anything else.
Yeah, he has nothing he can do against these people.
Yeah.
This isn't a whole.
Thrag's been through it. I mean.
Yeah, Cecil knows what one Vulturemite can do, and here's an army, or not an army, but a team of them there.
Yeah, a small handful.
A small group of them, and so he doesn't really have a choice. So.
Fuck you, Cecil. I will be glad when he dies. It's gotta happen. They have to kill him sometime. Ryan, I won't look at your face.
Oh, I'm not.
Just give it away.
No.
I know. You're.
I don't give anything away.
You're a statue.
Everybody dies. Every single character dies.
Yes.
The next we've got Alan and Dinosaurus. Alan goes to get Dinosaurus at his lab. Just a fun scene, great art.
I love the art in this one too, and I like the color.
Oh yeah, the coloring. This is what was this? This is when Alan is they have a moment where Dinosaurus is like, oh, it would appear that we're evenly matched, so this will just go on forever. So obviously you're here for and you being here means that Mark told you. So again, just being a smartass, because that's what Dinosaurus is. we've got Eve getting to see Mark and sit outside the waiting room, and Bulletproof kind of consoling her a little bit.
Can I just be honest? Like, Eve has been a little bit annoying for me lately,
Oh, yeah?
and I don't know why. Like, I really like Eve. I always have. But I feel like she's kind of gone from being this badass to just being this dependent girlfriend. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see her
Yeah, I
as...
can see that, because I feel like almost every time we see Eve, she is being the girlfriend. She's not
fucking
being
crying.
herself.
She's like, I'm telling you, or like yelling, or I'm upset. Like this, I'm just like, come on. I just want her to be the badass like she was before. Like now, Amanda is stepping up for me, or Monster Girl,
Yeah.
of being like this super cool character. You
You
know,
guys wonder why I didn't like Amber.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how I felt with Amber.
Because take
Did you
away
happy?
the fact that Amber was the girlfriend, and who was she? She didn't really have much of a character other than Mark's girlfriend.
Right.
yeah. Like
Now-
we know how cool Eve is, so
Yes.
that's why I'm kind of like, I want her to have some sort of redemption coming up because. I'm just getting tired of seeing the same thing from her.
Her just crying over Mark leaving or coming or going or sick or whatever. Like, you just want more.
Yeah.
No, makes sense. No, I get it.
Can I blow my nose for like a second?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't know why, but my nose is like super runny right now.
You do, but you have to do it right here.
No, God, no. I don't want to do it even in front of you.
Ew!
It's so loud.
It's so gross. And one more time.
No, there's nothing else in there.
There's
Yeah.
a garbage can.
Is it
If you
grossing
want it.
you out, Ryan?
No, I'm just saying, so you don't have
Just
to put it in
don't
your
touch
pocket. Yeah, just don't touch anything from now on. I'll open all the doors.
Where's the
and-
sanitizer?
I'm sorry, it was just running.
I'm kidding. It's okay.
I'd rather,
It's better than you sniffing.
All right, I'm good.
Or just
You
be
good?
like,
Do I got a bat in the cave?
what's wrong, guys? Am I good?
Ellen, I'm fine.
Not yet.
All right, thanks, guys.
And also in the waiting room, we've got Amanda kind of glancing over at Rex, and there's a moment between them there. Now, last time we found out that things were a little shaky with their relationship, and so this kind of
Well, and
expands on that.
I'm just going to jump real quick because I went home and had a conversation with Billy. I was like, oh my gosh. And we were talking about, we found out more information about,
I know what you're gonna
Amanda
say.
and Rex. Yeah. And I was like, 12 years. 12 years is such a long time. Well, then I was reading, it's like 700 years or something insane. I'm like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. And Billy's just like,
I think
"Duh."
Bill brought that up on the Brit Volume 2
Oh, he
discussion.
did? Oh,
but
we're so lame, I guess.
it was just so funny because that was one of those things where I'm like reading it with you guys and I was like, yeah, can you imagine? It's like 10 years. Yeah. It's like, grr. Nope.
Make me feel like a fool. No, but yeah, that's why I thought that was like, wow, we have no idea what really happened.
And so Dinosaur shows up and he just wants to help. Obviously all the Guardians that are there are like, they go into fight mode and want to stop him, but they're like, listen, you can't fight here in the ship in Mark's condition, you're just going to make things worse. What are you pointing out, Britt?
Oh, just that guy's face.
Oh yeah, that guy does have kind of a busted face.
Too bad he doesn't have a butt chin. That would have been a little bit. Oh, the other guy does. See, like I feel like
There you go.
strong guys are usually depicted with butt chins. I don't
Really?
know why. Yeah,
Butt chins?
Butt chins. Yeah, it's a.
So
Because like in Me, Myself, Irene,
Even in
Hank
this
had to
movie.
get the butt chin to make Charlie look more manly. Never.
Even in this
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Love it.
I was just telling TJ the other day, I haven't watched a Jim Carrey movie in so long.
It's
I
time.
feel like it's time.
Yes.
We've been watching the new Netflix Lemony Snicket.
I just started watching it too.
Did I
Did
say
you?
Billy
Yeah.
just put that on the
I
other
only have like
night?
2 more episodes left.
Oh really?
Oh,
Katie
is
and
it
I only
good?
watched 2.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
You
pretty
like
good.
it?
I have a hard time not seeing Jim Carrey because, and that's not any fault against Neil Patrick Harris. He's doing great. It's just that character is so...
He was done so well.
Well, that's the thing, and that character, Olaf, looks exactly the way he should look in the book, and since Jim Carrey made it look exactly like that, they're just doing the same thing. They're going to make it look exactly like he should.
Yeah.
It just so happens they look exactly the same. But it's
From
good
the
so
little
far.
bit that I actually watched of like the first episode, I felt the same way. So I'm hoping like I'll transition.
And not only that, and
Into
this isn't a
accepting
spoiler,
it,
but he doesn't look like Count Olaf for a lot of the show. Like, he goes through different costumes. So I'm sure the other costumes are going to look different than the costume versions that Jim Carrey played. Either
Yeah.
way, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm excited to watch more. So,
Good to know.
yeah. Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. What was that?
A hiccup. I don't know. I make weird noises sometimes. Probably because I drink pop. I'm gonna burp probably. Okay, we're good.
All right, here we go.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Brittany snows. I'm burping.
It's winter.
Okay, and then we've got a huge reveal shortly after this. Thrag goes in and talks to one of the scientists and was like, I thought you should know that Mark Grayson is a match.
His blood? Yes.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yep, he has
He's like higher up.
Mm-hmm. And,
right?
and they talk more about it when Thrag goes to kill Mark, but he's basically Lord Argyll's heir.
Yeah. So
that
then
skull
he gets,
that he was talking to?
right.
Yep.
So no longer is Thrag rightfully the leader. It's freaking Nolan or Mark.
Yeah.
Like
They're the rightful bloodline.
they're the rightful heirs. So then, of course, naturally, Thrag
kills the only person who knows
who
this.
knows and squeezes
Okay.
his poor head off.
Mm-hmm.
Just the messenger.
I'm sorry. Bullshit.
So, this issue pretty much ends with Xandal, Bulletproof, agreeing to help Eve with Invincible Ink.
Yeah.
Because now that Mark isn't,
he's sick and his moon spaceship thing or wherever he is.
they need somebody to kind of take over and help because they're going to start losing business. And I love this great shot. It's the same panel from issue 36 of Mark flying, but this time it's Xandal in the costume flying.
He looks good.
Mm-hmm. And that's how that issue ends. So we're moving right along. Next up is issue 90. So issue 90 starts with Bulletproof working for Invincible Ink, and he attacks a creature called the Walking Dread, which is...
Well, I like it,
Yeah.
There's so many plays on it, you know.
a great pun.
Yeah.
In the sketchbook section in the back, I believe it's Cory Walker actually talks about how they came up with this character's name and designed him well on the set for the movie Paul. So,
the alien?
Yeah, with Simon Pegg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were, Kirkman, Ottley, and Walker were invited to the set or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a picture. I think in Paul, Simon Pegg actually has an Invincible shirt on. In one of the
You're
scenes.
right.
Am I
You're
right?
totally right. I remember him wearing something and Billy and I making a comment about it.
Yeah.
So,
Is
yeah.
this a Walking Dead thing?
And Judge Dredd.
Yeah, it's just making fun of the name Walking Dead,
Oh.
Walking Dread. That's pretty much it.
Oh, yeah, no, I got that.
Yeah, but there's not really any other connection other than that, and it was just a funny name. But I thought that was kind of cool. And Dinosaurus goes. Oh, this is actually one of Bill's favorite scenes coming up.
He loves Dinosaurus. Like, he's always asking, what do you think about Dinosaurus? Isn't
Really?
he so awesome? So I feel like me, I'm like, oh yeah, he's okay. Because I don't want to like him because
Bill
they'll
likes
give him
him.
affirmation. Yes, exactly.
Well,
I'm a terrible person.
Well, Dinosaurus goes to Thrag and he wants access to more records, and he's had some questions and stuff like that, and wants to speak with the other scientists. And Thrag's like, no, you can't do that. He's unavailable right now.
He's a puddle of blood.
Yeah, he's just a big blob right now. Then we've got Alan and Oliver talking, and Alan talks about how he regrets,
The virus.
even considering it, and we get kind of his not redemption moment, but he has a moment where he kind of talks to.
It's clarity.
He kind of clears that up a little bit, and I like how that conversation ended with. So you want to go and visit Tech Jacket? And they go.
I miss my friend.
Yeah.
I think that's so cute. I love their little
bromance.
bromance. Exactly. I was like, man crush, no bromance. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh, guess what?
Eve's crying.
Eve's freaking crying.
aww.
Well,
Telling you,
I mean, I
it's
get
okay. I still like her. It's just,
it. I get it.
I'll stop complaining about it.
Well,
her man is not doing.
Well, her crying opened it up for Xandal to try and make a move.
Like, well,
He's
come
such
on.
a dirtbag.
Well, yeah, because then, like, later, his girlfriend is always accusing him. Who are you cheating on me with? That was one time, baby. And
before, when Robot and Amanda came back,
he was
tried
that's
hitting
right.
on
He was the one that was hitting
Monster
on.
Girl.
Yep. So he is just a dirty dirtbag.
So this is the scene that I was referring to with Bill Loving, and it is a crazy scene. So Thrag is standing over Mark in the ship, and he's kind of, in a very evil villain kind of way, starts basically talking out loud.
Plotting his Mark's death.
Yeah, and he says that, I'm told that you will survive this, that you're going through the phase in which it would have killed you, so you're going to live. And basically tells him, he's like, your father, you're all traitors, and that, maybe, what does he say? And that they'll believe that the Scourge virus actually killed you and it wasn't me. So he puts his hands around Mark's neck and he's going to kill him, but Dinosaurus shows up.
I like him.
And immediately scratches him and breaks his claws off.
I love that picture. I thought that was awesome.
This whole scene is crazy. It's so crazy. Dinosaurus is onto him. He knows what's up. And he, intelligently put bombs all over the Viltrumite ship. Tied to his heart rate. So he said, the more you hurt me, the more your ship blows up.
Yeah.
And
there's that crazy. I like it.
I like him.
Yep. And they get in this crazy fight scene. And then there's one panel where Dinosaurus goes to bite Thrag's head off, similar to what he did with Omnipodus.
Yeah.
And all his teeth just shatter. And I like Thrag's response to it. He's like, surely you expected that to result in a different outcome. And then all of Dinosaurus's dialogue from now on is him fluttering. It's great. And then he just breaks his jaw. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, and when I saw that too, I was like, please don't kill him.
I know.
I actually like him, and I really wanted him to save Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, it all worked out. But.
Yeah. Thrag goes to attend to all the explosions going on, leaving Dinosaurus in a puddle of blood. But Dinosaurus has enough strength to get Mark on a spaceship and
hobble on out.
Yeah, and launch away from the Viltrumite ship and crash land into just kind of near his base. And Mark wakes up and crawls out of the ship.
And sees his poor buddy messed up.
Yeah. So that was issue 90. Now we're on to 91. I like you get to see a little bit of Badass Eve here.
I know. That's
so this was kind of cool.
I was waiting for something.
Thrag's pissed off, and Eve shows up and wants to know what's happening. And I love how she kind of uses her powers to create these swords, and she's got the helmet on so she can go in space, and she looks real
Yeah, I liked her space costume, if you will, because
it's all armored and she looks like a knight.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Huge swords, and look at the size of these swords. They're the size of her.
I know, it's like she looks like a praying mantis or something.
Yeah, more of that, please.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Eve. Yeah. I like that a lot. And I like how during that scene, Thrag kind of hints at, you really think he kind of laughs her off. He's like, he basically mentions something along the lines of ending up on the other end of my arm, but that's already happened to you before, or something like that. He mentions Conquest stabbing her with his hand.
The move.
Yeah, the Viltrumite move. And then after that is when, we find out that Xandal cheated on Carla, and, how he's a different guy now, and he mentions Eve, and, that's when she's like...
Bullshit. Dirtbag. Yeah. But Silly's doing him a favor, so whatever.
And then Mark wakes up, and so does Dinosaurus, but Dinosaurus is in his human form, who I aptly named Dino Bro, because he talks like a bro.
Dude, bro.
Yeah, he always says the word bro. He's like, did I make you sick? Maybe I tricked you, bro. When I'm the monster, I'm pure evil. Yeah, you gotta watch out, man.
It's so weird how different they are, and he looks like Rex a little bit for me too.
He does kind of look like
yeah.
Rex.
So sometimes I have to like.
He's like a combination of Rex and William.
Yes, I can definitely see those features of William in his face.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to keep
Longer
reminding
face, though.
myself. Yeah, like, okay, no, this is, we'll call him D-bro.
D-bro?
Or D-bag. Which one do you prefer? Crack myself up tonight.
And in this scene, when he's talking to human Dinosaurus, and he actually compares him to Oliver and said that Dinosaurus isn't really evil. He's kind of like Oliver. And, you know, he says that he's not pure evil, he's pure intelligence. And
he loves his brother.
And then, yeah, and he starts talking to the human version of Dinosaurus, and he goes, "Have I ever told you about the production order on a comic book and how they're made? You start with the writer, usually, unless it's a writer-artist situation, and they're the same guy, or sometimes the writer and the artist work really closely." And he's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing."
I like how they brought it back, though. You know?
Yeah. So, we've got this Alan Oliver tech jacket fight scene with this crazy looking like what is it? What is that called? Like a crustacean?
I know, it's like a squid pod
kind of alien monster, and Eve saves the day.
I love the coloring on this.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It's a nice change from all the dreadful colors.
Mm-hmm.
The deep coloring. This
is a little bit more, you know, not
it
pastel,
has like a
but
wash. Yeah,
it's just a nice change.
A little bit brighter. And Eve shows up, saves the day, and she goes to get Oliver. She goes to tell him that Mark's missing, right?
Oh yeah.
And
goes to get
then she also goes to get Xandil too, which coincidentally she interrupts her date and
adds fuel to the fire.
Who this bitch?
I know. That's exactly how I read it.
Yep. And then back with Dino Bro and Mark, and Dino Bro isn't changing back into Dinosaurus, and he's like, "Oh, maybe he's gone," but he's not, and he just kind of he converts. He converts back to Dinosaurus, and he was basically saying that because he was so messed up that it took longer to heal to change back.
It takes a long time to grow all those teeth.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool though, that he can just like transform back and be like perfectly fine again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Xandil and the whole group arrive. Xandil in the Invincible costume, and Eve and Oliver and Alan, and they all show up, and they're all fighting. And Dinosaurus is fighting with Oliver, is fighting with Alan and Oliver.
Yeah.
And Mark goes to punch Alan. And so the last page is what happens. What did you think of this?
I thought he was like human again, or like just no powers whatsoever, and he's gonna be done.
Yeah. So Mark punches the back of Alan's head, and the bones come out of his arm, and his arm basically breaks in half. Gross.
Yeah. For me, I was kind of like, what just happened? Is like I forgot for a moment that he had been so affected by the virus. I don't know why. And so I was kind of like, is Alan that strong?
Yeah.
Kind of like moment. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Mark's in trouble, you know?
Yep.
But then I was kind of like, Oliver just got a new arm. Now Mark's going to get a new arm. So I was...
You get a new arm!
You get a new arm! Let's just start ripping arms off! Yeah.
Everybody gets new limbs.
Yes.
So what's next is a 5-part kind of event that both Ryan Ottley and Corey Walker drew together. And this is kind of the first time where they kind of tag teamed issues. And I love the covers. The covers are really cool because the covers are always like this 2-cover kind of thing where there'll be one main cover and then a smaller band along the bottom.
And it's the 2 different artworks.
Yep, and it's the 2 different artists. You know, Ottley would draw one, and Corey Walker will draw the other, and really, really great. And this is the whole Flaxon dimension story, and what happened with Monster Girl and Robot when they went into the other dimension. So, starting off with issue 92, Mark has gotten better, but he's broken. Something's happened to him, and it's almost as though he retained his strength, but he's incredibly fragile.
Right.
So he's able to throw a punch.
He's no longer invincible.
Oh.
No.
He's not. Bulletproof is.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite villains, like recurrent villains, Octobos, attacks the Pentagon. I just loved it because he's so funny. He's taking English. It's not his first language, so he always speaks, he never speaks proper English.
Yeah, short sentences.
Yeah, it's just really funny. And Mark tries to help, but he's not allowed because obviously his condition. Eve protects them, and Cecil, we get to see a little bit of what Robot does now. So Robot is kind of in charge of all the Guardians, and we found out about that last volume, but in this volume we kind of get to see it in a little bit more direct way. So he controls all the Guardians and sends them where they need to be. So as you see, he's just sitting there playing a video game. And
he's been in the leadership role before, but it did feel different.
Yeah.
This time.
Yep. And I like how it shows it, like
Maybe
it kind of has like that Batman Oracle kind of vibe to it, where he just has his screens and he's like, all right, yep, Capes and the Wolf Corps can stand down. The threat's been neutralized. We didn't even need to call on the full Guardians roster. You know what I mean? Like, so, but what's crazy about this scene is Robot and Monster Girl have a little spat at each other. Robot kind of sarcastically says, like, impressive work there, and Monster Girl's like, what were you doing? Were your thumbs too sore from playing your stupid video games? And Robot's like, help me out. Whose side are you on today? It changes, from some side to side so often, which now that you've read it, you know what he meant by that, like, little jab, like, whose side are you on?
Well, yeah, and you can infer from those comments.
And she punches through Robot, and Britt's like, what has gotten into you? You used to be so close. What happened? And a great tee up to our first flashback. So, and I love the little text bubble on the top that says, here's what happened.
Yeah. I love the way that this whole thing unfolded. Like, this, to me, of course I loved everything else that was going on in the universe, but this was a big unknown of, like, what happened? Mm-hmm. So I read through this.
Well, they've been teasing it for a while,
quickly.
Like, this uncomfortability between the two of them, and why are they acting so weird when they were so close when they left, and now they're older, and what's going on? So, yeah, it was something that I think we were all looking forward to finding more about. I believe when it was actually released, these issues had a little bit of a delay, so when we were reading it, it was a little long, these 5 issues. I don't know over how many months it took for them to be released. They're a lot more political. I dug it, though. I'm jealous of you guys being able to read it kind of as a cohesive story, like all at once.
I'm sure it read much differently for us. Yeah.
But kind of dug it. So in these flashbacks, we find the first flashback is when they actually jump through the portal, and they surrender to the Flaxons. They start, learning the Flaxon language, and they find out that they're, like, testing them, like they're running tests on Monster Girl and everything, and Robot, is starting to learn their language. Now, a lot of times it's going to kind of bounce back and forth between
flashback and
what's going on in the present, so we're going to, I guess, do the same. And then back in the regular dimension, Mark is struggling with not having his powers. He hated, like, driving, and he hates when Eve flies because she flies much slower than him, and he's having a hard time adjusting to all of this. Then
I feel like, how long has it really been since he had his powers? Since he threw that first garbage bag. Do we know?
We just, there was something recently. I wonder if I put it in my notes. They recently said Mark's age. Was it last issue when Mark came back from the Vulturite War, and Eve and Debbie were talking, and Debbie said, you just had your 20th birthday while you were away.
Oh,
and it was like his 20, I want to say it was like his 23rd or 24th.
I wanted to say 23rd.
And you got to assume that when he had his powers, he was a senior in high school, and he was going into college.
Okay, wow, yeah.
So what is that, 18 to 24-ish, 23-ish?
Yeah, 5-6 years.
So, but you got to think, if that's all you do, you probably get used to that pretty quick.
I would.
right? Just flying everywhere.
My house would be so clean.
Didn't Bulletproof did that? Oh, your parents are coming over, and he picked everything up.
The very next scene, you're right, because Bulletproof shows up, and Carla's like, your parents are coming over, and the house is a wreck. I can't make dinner, blah blah blah, and he zips around the house and cleans it up.
What's up with that painting though?
Yeah.
Was he painting that, or was she painting that?
Oh no, that's his painting.
That's definitely his painting.
And that's totally Eve.
Naturally.
Yeah.
I look at the pink background.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, but
oh wait,
Dirtbag.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
So Xandil has a brother named Tyrone, and Bulletproof's parents, Xandil's parents think that Tyrone is Bulletproof, so he has a twin brother.
Yeah.
Xandil is the, in quotes, artist, and his twin brother is the superhero.
Yeah.
Very interesting story. I kind of liked how they did that. And Xandil was kind of looked at as the, kind of the bum of the family, who's just an
starving artist.
Yeah, who's not really doing anything important with his life. Well, his twin brother's out there saving the world, and why can't you be more like him? And he can't tell his parents the truth of what happened. And we don't know what happened.
Right.
And it's just teeing up for more story.
Well, again, kind of like his backstory, because right now I think he's a dirty dirtbag, but we don't know.
Of course. I mean, that's what
Same
everybody...
thing with Rex.
It's Rex, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody starts off
here's
kind
the
of...
new Rex.
Oh,
So
Rex.
I know, see?
All right,
gotcha.
bro.
Here's our monthly reminder of poor Rex.
Speaking of Rex / robot. No.
Yeah. So then we've got Robot and a little Easter egg. In the background, this video game that Robot is playing is actually Journey on PlayStation. Great video game. And then we get Amanda showing up and tries to apologize, and Robot tells her that he came here to forget. He came here to forget. He doesn't want her apology. He just and Amanda's like, what did she say? You really expect me to forget all of it? And then we've got the flashback.
Look how young and little they look.
Ugly little kid.
They're awkward teenagers at this point. Well, almost. But the Flaxons have been using Monster Girl as like their champion, like their beast, and we find out that
shackled up and stuff,
mm-hmm,
right?
We find out that 4 years have passed, and they're aging very, very slow. And young Rex says, "Haven't you noticed? We've been here for 4 years already, and neither of us have aged a day." So the time goes so slow there, and you turn the page, and it's Amanda in the present day freaking out on Rex, saying 700 years we lived together.
And yeah, that was like, my mind was blown at that point.
Right?
I was like,
and like what she says, "I knew you better than anyone on earth has ever known anyone. I loved you more than anyone has ever loved anyone. And you threw it all away. All of it. After one single mistake. I'll never forget that." What?
I know.
Yeah. I thought that was a great twist. A great, think about that. 700 years with one person.
Well, that's what I say. And people make mistakes all the time. Mistakes, okay, I get it. But out of 700 years, like she's saying, there was one mistake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cut a girl some slack.
Well, at this point, we don't even know what it is. So it's like, what could possibly have turned him away from her?
Well, originally I was thinking, because he made that comment of, "What side are you on?"
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was something like that, where, she arranged, people fighting against him, or, something that she sided with the aliens, or, something like that, but...
I had no idea. I just kept reading.
I try to look for things every now and then, but I miss half the things, or I'm wrong, so please.
So issue 93 starts off, and it's all about Rex's plan. And he talks about, I love this. He brings up what happened in issue 3. Now, in issue 3, when we're first getting to know Nolan and everything like that, the first time we see the Flaxons in Invincible is in issue 3. Nolan goes there, and he's fighting with his son for a second, and Nolan gets pulled into the portal. And then later on, I don't remember. I think it was a couple days or something like that go by, and Mark is sitting down to dinner with Debbie, and Nolan walks in and he has a beard, and Debbie like kind of goes over and she sheds a tear or something like that, and they're sitting at the table, and Mark's like, "Oh, I stopped my teacher from turning kids into human bombs." And Nolan's like, "I was trapped in another dimension where time moved really slow.
Yeah.
And I just now came back." And then she's like, "That's nice. Can you pass the peas?"
Yes.
And
yes,
that's
yes,
how
yes.
issue 3 ended.
Wow.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
And,
so,
and I remember saying, "Oh, that's like an everyday occurrence. Like, you know, he'd been gone for months or something."
Yep. So Rex talks about his plan and how the Flaxons invade different, dimensions or, locations or whatever to basically get slaves for themselves. So they basically have this slave, economy where they don't do any of the work. And Rex wants to use these slaves to kind of make start a revolt against the Flaxons and lead them. And so they want to go. There's punishment for Monster Girl and Rex is that they're being condemned to this city in which they're going to be forced to rebuild it, and they get use slaves to rebuild it. But Rex's plan is like, we can live pretty much forever compared to these guys. So years are going to go by, and these slaves are going to grow up knowing us, and all the Flaxons are going to die off, and we're going to have more control and more power,
Right.
than they realize. Again, pretty smart.
Good plan. Yeah,
Good plan.
Exactly.
And it works for the most part. He actually leads the revolt and becomes a leader of, this whole, revolution against the Flaxons. So.
I don't like Star Wars. We all know that. Is that Chewbacca in the background?
Looks like a Chewie reference.
That does look like a Chewie. That does look like a Wookiee. Interesting. So one of the mini slave races in the background does look like a Chewbacca, kind of a Wookiee race. And like Cory Walker mentions, or is it Kirkman? One of them talks about all the different designs. This is one of the things that Cory Walker does best, is all the different costume designs and creatures and everything like that. It's amazing. He talked about in the back of the book how he designed a different costume for Monster Girl in almost every page because he had to show the passage of time, and why would she be wearing the same outfit after hundreds of years?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So she's constantly wearing something different, and so he had to come up with a new
And I feel like people,
alien
yeah,
costume.
and people just take it, take that advantage,
Oh, yeah.
of like, oh yeah, this is, just keep reading along, but they don't really think about how difficult that is.
Mm-hmm.
And even just, to show that progression as she gets older, what she's going to wear or choose to wear and how that defines her. And yeah.
Very cool. And now we've got a panel, we're going back to present day here. And do you guys remember this? So there's an attack on London, and a guy standing there with a graduation cap next to a whole bunch of garbage gets attacked and dies. Do you remember him?
Vaguely, now that like you're pointing that out.
Remember when Mark threw the garbage bag?
something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
And then it landed, and then he threw his graduation cap,
Yeah.
and then it landed on the same
And
guy.
that guy was
and they
complaining every
started
time.
worshiping the garbage and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
This is him. This is this cult that he ended up
With his
leading.
cap on.
And it's just, it was a cool way to introduce an attack on London, was to reference an old running joke.
Right.
So, and kind of put it to bed in the same sense. So, there's an attack on London, and it's the Flaxons. And Mark's pissed off. Him and Eve are just sitting there watching on TV, and he's mad he can't do anything. And Eve's like, I'm not going to go. You know what I mean? I can't get there super fast. If they need me, they'll come and get me. Otherwise, we're sitting here.
Right.
And that's it.
How boring.
Yeah, Xandal has to leave. His parents are, still over, and they're watching the attack on TV, and he has to make up the lie that he has to go to a gallery.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, what do your brother might be on TV. You should stay here and watch." And
I heard he's got a new costume. Watch out for it.
yeah, he did say that. Yep. So, meanwhile, Rex is just adamantly denying the fact that it's the Flaxons. He's like, nope, can't be. Isn't. Nope. I don't believe it. And the Guardians arrive on the scene, and over the next few pages are some amazing fight scenes. So very cool getting to see, like, we get to see the Actioneers in the scene with powered Plex fighting and just little nods to other superheroes. And
I was like, what's up with Monster Girl's outfit? Like, go to the next page with that deep V.
Oh yeah, she does have that.
What is that?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that one either.
I liked the tarp.
Oh yeah.
Tarzan looking sack versus a gymnastics leotard.
It does look like a leotard. You're right. Yeah. So we've got some 2-page spreads of them fighting the Flaxons and London just kind of crumbling behind them, and then something happens. All of a sudden, all the different Guardians are getting zapped and blasted away from this green energy beam, because coming onto the scene is some big Flaxon, some giant Flaxon, and we don't know anything about him. So this guy shows up, and it's just like, all right, so who's this guy? And that's it. And that's how issue 93 ends.
Well, but then Rex reacts, it can't be.
Yeah, he says it can't be.
So I knew it came from the dimension they had left. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, come on. Mm-hmm. What's happening next?
Yep. So issue 94, Eve is on her way there, and Mark kicks over a table, pissed off. Again, this is like, we talked a little bit about it, Liz, like, Mark isn't in this too much. Mm-mm. And that's it's appropriate that he's not on the cover of the hardcover. This isn't really Mark's story. He's kind of sitting on the sideline for most of this.
Right. But I liked seeing more of the whole universe in general. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just finding out more of the story of what's going on. Yeah, they showed...
The next page, it shows what everybody else is doing. So Capes is like, oh, we're busy, we're tied up fighting, they're fighting the Magna men.
Yeah. Wolfman.
Wolfman's fighting, not Kilcannon, but yeah, some of his villains from his comic. And then Tech Jacket is there's just some space
ethereal
creature.
Beauty.
And he's just so hot.
No, but I like the catch up, and what's happening with Mark, I feel like, is going to be pretty important for his character development, Mm-hmm. So it needs to take the appropriate amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Robot shows up on scene, and he begins demanding answers. And he shows up with a whole slew of different...
army of robots.
Different robots. He's got all these crazy-looking different outfits, and it looks really neat. Just different versions of himself in a way. And he starts punching this Flaxon. He's demanding answers. He's like... And he's speaking Flaxon. He's actually speaking in their language. And... He's saying, like, oh, I lived in your world for more years than I lived on mine. I know everything about you. Do they still tell stories of me? Do your people still tell stories of me? Thought that was really neat. So, and he's saying, like, how did it happen? How did this happen? And then flashback. So, the Zaxxal are a royal family, and they're pretty much the rulers. They're the ones who are enslaving all these people. And they find this resistance group that are trying to fight back against the Zaxxals. And the Zaxxals are the ones that they're trying to overthrow throughout this whole thing. We see that Amanda is missing home. They've been doing this at this point now for probably 100 or so years, and she just wants to go back. And they talk about how they have the opportunity to go back, but they say... It's probably only been a few months back home. Look at how much good we're doing here. We should stay and actually, make it work. And a lot of this has to do with Amanda not
having a choice.
Yeah, but also she doesn't fit in, and she doesn't speak the language. She's trying.
Can't learn it.
She can't learn it. And Robot keeps saying, "Oh, it's because you're not trying. You need to learn the language better. You'd feel better if you knew people and can talk to them." Because I think she's not talking to anybody but him for hundreds of years at this point.
No wonder why she knows it better than anybody.
Right? Jeez.
Yeah, that's Very alienating.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
So funny.
Nerd.
Flash forward to what's going on in London, and during the fight, I like this. A building is about to fall on top of civilians, and General Craig, one of the Viltrumites that's living among them, saves them.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
He's just looking out for someone he wants to reproduce with. He's not good. Just don't. Just don't.
And the Guardians of the Globe continue to fight. Still some fight scenes.
Yeah, more of Robot and his new outfits and stuff.
Yeah,
his
and
arm things.
And Monster Girl's knocked out, and Robot kneels over her, and he's like, shake it off. Come on, Amanda. Come on, we can use your help, please. And he says, I still love you. And and flashback to, we get a sex scene between the two, overlooking their army, and they're ready to kind of take on the Zaxel family and kind of put an end to this for good. And he talks about, because this whole flashback is kind of told in letter, like it's like he's writing something, you get.
Right.
And he talks about how he had no idea how concerned he should have been, with Amanda's
yeah, he's reviewing
compassion.
everything
That's
that
what it is.
happened, and it's he's realizing it and actually seeing it from a different point of view for the first time.
And he's thinking back to her compassion and how she actually cared for the Flaxons, because they were being abused and beaten, and he appreciated that about her, but he, like he says to himself, he didn't realize how concerned he should have been. But
he's such a unique person in general. I shouldn't even say person, really.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. So I feel like, he is not going to approach things the same way or think about things the same way. And it's going to take him longer to see, I don't know, what Amanda could see or feel.
Yeah, like almost like he's overanalyzing something.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. And this issue ends with Monster Girl waking up and fighting back, and they start beating up this giant Flaxon that's been kicking their ass, and she knocks the helmet off of him, and he speaks English, and he says, at long last, I'm face to face with you. Look upon me, Rex Robot and Amanda Monster Girl. And he said, that's right, I speak your language. Are you surprised to see me? Are you surprised to see your son?
Mm-hmm. My face was like how Amanda or Monster Girl was.
I know. I loved her face. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. And Robot's like struggling, like, oh.
But still, at this point, your son.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought Rex
it's weird.
and Amanda's son.
Yeah. So that's what you're thinking, because he's saying, are you surprised to see your son? And they're both shocked.
Right.
And you're thinking, okay, so maybe this is just kind of what a Monster Girl offspring looks like?
Yeah, but I was still confused because they talked about earlier, I know you wanted children.
You're right.
And so then that's why when this, I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, because she's
in
so
the next
sad
issue
and
they
she's
talk
so
about
lonely. Yeah.
Yep. So issue 95, it starts with Robot saying, how could you do this, Amanda? How did you hide this from me? So Robot doesn't even know about this at this point. At least he's saying he doesn't know. And he's like, you had a child from me. And Amanda's panicking. She's saying, no, it's not possible. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. And the flashback, Rex is now the ruler of the Flaxons. And I like how as time passes, his robot costume has become part robot, part, it looks like he's replaced pieces of it and everything like that.
Yeah.
Very neat. They chose to stay in the Flaxon dimension, even though they could have gone back at any time. Like I said, they wanted to see it through. And the Zaxel family, the ones that started enslaving all these people, have been in prison for so long, and Amanda wants to free them. She's, like we've said already, she's compassionate. She sees that,
it's punishment enough kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they're not being treated, humanely. And they talk about how, or Rex talks about how he became distracted, being a ruler. And he started to drift, and they'd started to drift apart. And Monster Girl frees them. She actually does free the Zaxels, those, that family. And after she frees the Zaxel family, Rex finds out about it, and he's like, you undermined my authority, get out of my sight. And it talks about that after that, they drifted apart for years. He said that it was, decades that they had, until they saw each other again. And they started seeing each other again, and I guess fell back in love and out of love. And I mean, you have to think hundreds of years are going on during this. And he mentioned that, he says, although we had reconciled, I knew you still resented me for what I couldn't give you. And he says to her, I know you want children. I do too, but it's just not happening. I'm sorry. So maybe it has to do with just the way he cloned himself or his whole process, but he's unable to have children. And so...
Or maybe she can't have kids. Well, like, she turns into a freaking monster that's,
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, it doesn't really say, or unless he knows that he can't from some testing or whatever, you'd think that maybe he would know. Who knows? Maybe all that time they spent there, at some point he might have actually tested. But they drifted apart, and the Zaxels rose up again, and Monster Girl kind of betrayed Rex. She let them kind of rise up and attack Rex.
Overthrow him, yeah.
Yeah, and overthrow, exactly. That's what it was. And she literally knocks him out, and they imprison him. And that's where Rex is writing this letter from. And all the while, Amanda is kind of with this Zaxel princess or whoever. And it turns out they, hooked up. And
who knew that Monster Girl, when she turned into a monster, would actually have the male anatomy?
Yeah,
that works.
She she changes gender when she's the monster.
Yeah,
isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Very crazy. So in Rex's letter, he says that he forgives her. And he throws the letter away. But Monster Girl shows up and says that he was right. So she confesses to Rex that, she's made a mistake, but they kind of forgive each other, and it seems as though they're just going to move on. And then back at present time, during this whole fight, Monster Girl is clearly very upset. She keeps saying that, I had a baby, I abandoned you, and she feels as though she left her child. And Monax, as we learned his name is, continues to just beat them up and wants to rule Earth. And
so he has that same mentality of enslaving.
Yeah, right. Well, I think was raised by the Zaxel family, who were the ones that went from dimension to dimension and enslaved people. But the issue ends with Britt picking Robot up and saying, hey, let's finish this. So the final issue of Volume 8 is issue 96. Very cool cover, by the way. I like that a lot. Just Robot holding Monster Girl, Amanda, and then them, the Cory Walker version beneath, with them kind of facing away from each other. So yeah, this one starts off with her confessing, saying that she cheated on him. And she says, can you forgive me? And he says, she says, say something, just say anything. And
just walks away.
He walks away. And time passes, and he comes to her and says that he's chosen his successor, and that it's time we leave. He wants to go back. So he says that their work there is done. There's too many painful memories now, and that he'll make the preparations to head back. So... I
was just kind of like, little lost at that part because they had overthrown him, right?
The Zaxels did overthrow him, but while he was in prison, Monster Girl broke him out, and they did rise up again.
So they rised up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I just is did. A little glossed over.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really quick because, I mean, they spent how many issues talking about how they would fight them, but then, you know, it just kind of, yeah, she even says this should be over within a week. It was just a small uprising, you gotta think.
Yeah.
So, after that, we've got the Guardians of the Globe fighting back with Robot commanding them, kind of telling, you know, each person to do this. He's like, Kaboomerang, do this. You know, Shapesmith, do this. And he's kind of sending them all out. And Monster Girl and Robot took on Monax, and they kind of shut him down, and she's pinning him down and holding him there. And I loved it. I loved Monax yelling at Rex and saying, what was it? No, it can't be over. Not like this. You don't get to win. Not you. Not after everything you've done. I won't let you win, you monster. And I just like Monax calling Rex monster, as opposed to Monster Girl. I just thought that was a neat writing there.
And that piqued my interest. You know, because then I was like, of course there's got to be more going on than just Rex rising up and being a leader. And, you know, they wouldn't have put that much into that scene unless if there was more.
Mm-hmm. So the fight is over. They take Monax away to custody, and the next scene is Xandil walking into his apartment and kind of blurting out about, you know, oh, I got to avoid my parents because of this. And, you know, my arm, you know, I have a good reason to explain my arm is broken. And she's like, they're in the next room. And, you know, it just kind of ends with like, oops. But it never really, we don't get to see the result of that yet. I like Xandil's cast, however, because it looks like Cecil signed it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's probably got like a microchip in there so we can listen to him. And
probably. So Mark is pissed off at Alan and Oliver because London was nearly leveled and
they were nowhere.
They were nowhere to be found. And Oliver's reason is Tech Jacket met this alien and she invited us to her mothership and we weren't that far away, but we were out of contact.
Yeah, I know. You know what was going on in that ship.
Yeah, right. Who knows? But Oliver talks to Mark for a minute and breaks down crying.
Moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said before, like Oliver really has no connection to humans, so he was quick to act.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of gave him like that more humanistic point of view. You know, to love someone and
I like what he says here. If losing someone close to you feels like this, if that's what it's like to have a loved one die, maybe I was wrong about the whole thing.
Yeah. I thought that was well put.
Mm-hmm. They fly back, like they're heading back to Telestria together. And I like this moment of Eve asking Mark if he wants to fool around, and he's like, "It really won't be the same without my powers." But yes.
Poor Mark.
Poor Mark. And we get explanation for what General Craig was doing in London, because Thrag called him out on it, and it turns out that General Craig has a human woman in London who is carrying his child, and Thrag is like, from what I know, you have a dozen human women spread all over the globe who have your child, or are currently pregnant with your child. And Craig is like, I know, and I love them all. So I thought that was great. It's just kind of like starting this little bit of like a, maybe it could change. But I thought that was a really cool scene. So Mark and Eve are talking, and Mark mentions that he's concerned about what's going on with Dinosaurus because he hasn't heard from him in a while, and he doesn't know what he's up to. So that's kind of, looming what's going to happen next with Dinosaurus. And then there's a scene with, Robot and Amanda, Rex and Amanda. And they're standing next to Monax, and he says he has nothing left to say to them to leave. And they basically make up. Rex kind of apologizes for what happened. He says that I know what you did, and it was because of who I had become.
Right.
And he forgives her, and they kiss, and things are okay. But the last page is kind of a flashback, but we get to see the rest of that scene that we got to see earlier, and it turns out that Rex knew all along that she had a child with that other woman. So he actually ordered for all of them to be killed. So that's why when Monax shows up, he's saying, it can't be, because he tried to, have them all killed at the time.
So how crazy is it that Amanda didn't even know?
Mm-hmm. But Rex did.
He knew, and he ordered him.
Well, you got to think, he probably has his little spies or his...
Yeah. He's also very intelligent.
His connections down, So what did you think of this volume?
I thought it was a little bit slower, but I liked the details of getting to know, a little bit more about the characters, kind of getting introduced to Bulletproof a little bit more. So I kind of, I don't know, I enjoyed getting to know that a little bit better. Yeah. But like you said, it wasn't like all about Mark, so it didn't have as much as the fighting or the,
Well, this one feels completely different, I feel like. Well, not completely different, but this is one of those volumes where, I think of this one as a very different volume than the rest. It like you said, it's not really about Mark. It's got all the Flaxon dimension stuff. It definitely has an overall different feel than the other ones. It's a little bit less superhero comic and a little bit more sci-fi and fantasy. And
well, that's why I even wonder too, now that we're getting more into the story, is it because they're getting ready to end things that it kind of slowed down like that, or were they just gearing up for
I can't tell you at this point
change?
They didn't know that it was going to be ending soon.
Okay.
So no, not at this point, but are there any storylines that you're kind of anticipating to read about next?
I'm trying to think of. There's a couple things that I, of course, had in my head. I mean, even Mark have kind of been, teetering for me. She seems kind of like an emotional mess every time he goes away. And I feel like that's just going to keep wearing down on her. So I expect conflict for them. I think, of course, Mark is going to get back his powers eventually. I really don't know how. Yeah. Or if it's just, a gradual thing. I'm trying to think of other predictions that I have.
Well, one thing that's exciting is that next volume contains issue 100.
Ooh, a big one. Huh.
So that should be exciting, something to look forward to. So,
and I want Cecil to die, so I'm going to say Cecil's going to die.
Keep saying Cecil's going to die.
He's done.
She's going to keep saying it after every volume.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, for me, to see this volume end with that for Rex, he said, I want to go back because I want to forget everything. I realized that he wasn't per se just talking about Amanda's infidelity. He's talking about decisions and things that he made. But I think now that he's back, he's having trouble kind of where he belongs now.
Yeah. You got to think they've both lived in that world for 700 years. Who are they even in this world now? You know what I mean? So there is that whole, issue with how do they fit in now, and what are they like now after all of that?
Exactly. So I feel like I even told Billy, I was like, I feel like he's now shaping up to be the villain. They've kind of are setting that up,
kind of building it.
Yeah, foreshadowing. He being a ruler or being in charge of things, which wouldn't be hard for him at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's volume 9. So that's next. Now, since you guys have finished Compendium Volume 2, or the second compendium, I I only have one thing to hand out. So each of you, you're going to have to take turns with Volume 9. So
awesome.
One of you will finish it, and I'll give it to the other. Brittany had to step away earlier, so that's why you haven't heard her in a little bit. But remember, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com if you have questions for the girls. They're very close. What?
That's Angstrom.
That is Angstrom.
Ooh, I have more predictions. No, I'm just kidding.
So, very exciting. So, yeah, like I said, find us on Facebook, Instagram. No, we're not on Instagram. Why did I say Instagram?
Why not? We should
right?
start taking pictures of ourselves. No.
Facebook and Twitter, theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. Ask the girls what they think of something so far, or, let us know if you're reading along. We love hearing feedback. iTunes reviews are great. But yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a new issue discussion. Super excited to talk all about that with you guys. I'll have TJ and Bill back in here to talk all about it. I think that's all. Anything else, Liz?
I got nothing.
All right, well, great. Thank you for joining me. I guess that's it.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.